Hello beautiful souls. Today I wanted to share something very personal, actually. A story about loss and love and synchronicity and a little dog called Daisy, who you can see behind me in the painting, little Cocker Spaniel. So at the weekend I was reading a book by another animal communicator called Dr. Cara Gubbins, and the very beginning of the book she shared her personal story, and it so much aligned with mine that I thought I need to share this with you. So here I go. Thursday the 15th of June 2025. It was a very sad day for me and my partner. Little dog called Ernie, who had been by my side for almost 15 years, passed away. He'd seen me through some of the most trying times of my life. He was a constant companion, loyal, gentle, little bundle of love. He was a Yorkshire Terrier. And even though I knew he was going over to be with his friends, it doesn't deaden the feeling of loss that we experience when we lose a dog. So for the first couple of weeks after he passed, Ernie kept trying to come back to me, and I had to try and get him to go over to be with the Fab Four, my other three dogs who'd passed quite recently, actually, before him, his companions. I'd had four dogs at the time: Margery, Isaac, Ralph, and then there was Ernie, who all lived beautifully harmoniously together. And my partner and I made the decision, no more dogs. We had Walter, Irish setter, in the painting behind me, and we decided, you know, we've got a smaller house now and it's more practical to just have one dog. You can take them more places, you can do stuff with them. And then Walter became rather depressed and in grief, which will be the subject of another video I will post at another time. He was grieving, he stopped eating, he was sad, very depressed. He's a very sensitive soul anyway. And things started to change in my head. I started to look at rescue centres and one thing and another. And then during one of my morning meditations, I saw the little face of a dog, and the dog came to me, told me her name was Daisy, and that she was a Cocker Spaniel, and that she was waiting for us. And I've been meditating long enough to know to take notice of these things. And she told me that she was going to be an important member of our family, and that when she arrived, things would shift and change for the better. So I didn't need much more encouragement to go and speak to my partner Duncan and say, would he consider having another dog? And because he's a man with a big heart and he really felt so very sad for Walter, but he was also missing Ernie terribly as well, he gave me the okay, which was all I needed, because I don't need much encouragement with these things. And so I started scanning the Kennel Club website for litters of Cocker Spaniels, because it had become apparent that this needed to be a puppy, that she was just waiting for us. And at the time there were lots of litters on the website, and I looked through them all, breeders with very great credentials that seemed to tick all the practical boxes, but nobody shone out until I saw one little face, and it was like there was a light shining around her. She was just the most beautiful little face, and I knew that that was Daisy. She just spoke to my soul. And so I made contact with breeder and we brought her home, and obviously she's still with us now. But there was something about her from day one. She sat on my lap in the car on the way home, calm and happy. And so I decided to do a very, very quick tune-in with her. And I very much felt the energy of one of the Fab Four, Margery. I thought, oh my goodness. Now, I'm not saying that Margery has reincarnated as Daisy, but what I'm saying is there is part of Margery's soul within Daisy, and I believe that her energy is present within Daisy, and I will tell you how I've tested this out on several occasions. We both felt that there was something incredibly special about Daisy, even though Duncan had never met Margery. She had gone before Duncan arrived. And so I've lived with dogs for 40 years now, and this was just something quite different and unusual. So I do believe that dogs come into any animal comes into our lives never by coincidence. They arrive with a sole purpose, sometimes to support us, sometimes to teach us, sometimes to steady us during times of change. And having picked something up from Daisy, that there was essence of Margery within her, I asked a dear friend and colleague of mine, Gemma Cantillon, who is an amazing animal communicator, if she could connect with Daisy for me very early on in Daisy's life with us, which was also something that's unusual. I told Gemma nothing. I didn't have any specific questions for Gemma. I just let Gemma free flow communicate with her, and when she gave me her feedback, we got onto Zoom, she gave me her feedback. Everything that she picked up aligned with what I had felt. The first thing she said was that Daisy was an old, wise soul, and I absolutely feel that. And then Daisy had communicated that she had come to be with her soul family and that she loved us all, and that she wanted to help Walter with his nervous disposition. And Gemma felt that Daisy would gently take control of that relationship. Well, I can tell you now, some months on, it is most definitely Daisy who wears the trousers in the relationship, and inspires Walter to be a little more confident in certain areas. And as with any relationship, he inspires her to be more confident in certain areas of her life. And then Gemma said something to me. She said the name Margery, and that was all the confirmation I needed to know that part of Margery had come back within Daisy. So things that I have tried with Daisy since then, I've used certain keywords that only Margery knew. I've used certain behaviours that I knew Margery liked, and Daisy responds extremely well to these, even down to the fact that when I sneeze, Daisy jumps up in my face, because when I used to sneeze in front of Margery, Margery would come, this great big golden retriever would come, launch her paws onto my shoulders, and I always assumed she was checking that I was okay, and I used to say to her, "I'm all right, Marge, I'm all right," and then off she'd go again. So I really feel that animals are incarnating at this time to bring soul families together. I've communicated with more than one animal in recent years who have told me they've come back to be with their soul family, and that some healing has happened during that process of having the animal living with them. So I think it's all part of a larger unfolding. But I just wanted to come on and just say that it's not a given that a beloved pet who has passed will come back within another one, and we certainly shouldn't be looking for that, because each animal is its own unique individual personality with its own properties that comes to us at a time when we need them. And but knowing that somebody else had had the same experience as me, even down to Margery told me at Christmas 2019, "This is my last Christmas with you." And she let me hug her. Now, Margery wasn't a great hugger, but we sat on the floor together hugging when she told me this, and had a real extra special connection in that moment. Margery made it all the way through to October, and I had begun to think, maybe I misheard, maybe I misinterpreted that message. I was starting to doubt myself, and then in October she passed away. So the experience that Cara Gubbins had was very aligned with this, in that her animal told her, I've only got 2 weeks left to live. I do believe that these animals will come back into our lives in some way, shape or form, but that could be a fleeting moment as a bird flies past or comes and sits close to you. It doesn't have to be within the body of a new animal that you take on. And like I say, it's really important not to take on an animal with this in mind, because if you don't feel that soul connection that links you with your previous beloved pet, then that will lead to disappointment, and that will lead to a problem with your relationship with the current animal. So all animals must be treated as their own individual self. But I really appreciate you listening to this story, because I feel that it's a message that needs to get out there, that love never leaves us. Love, those love bonds that we have with our animals never die. They're just in a different dimension from us, a different frequency bandwidth that often people struggle to access, but they are there. And I hope that brings you some comfort to know that just because we can't always see them, can't always hear them, it doesn't mean that they're not there. It's about accessing a different frequency. So I will thank you once more for listening to my story, and I will love you and leave you until next time. Bye bye.